Welcome, everyone. I'm excited to kick off our presentation today. This is our introduction slide, where we'll set the stage for what's to come. We'll be talking about the main topic and a few key points to keep in mind. So, let's get started and see what's in store for us today. Let's take a moment to recap what we discussed in the previous lecture. We covered some fundamental concepts that form the foundation of today's topic. First, we explored the key principles behind the main theories, emphasizing how they relate to real-world applications. We also looked at some important examples that helped illustrate these ideas more clearly. Remember, understanding these basics is crucial as we move forward because they connect directly to the overall theme of our presentation. Keeping these points in mind will help us see the bigger picture and appreciate how everything fits together. The human brain is truly the most complex machine in the world. It functions as a biological neural network, which means it's made up of interconnected cells that communicate with each other in intricate ways. Despite its incredible complexity, it only weighs about 1.5 kilograms, roughly the weight of a small melon. What's astonishing is that within this relatively small organ, there are about 100 billion brain cells, or neurons, working together. These neurons form a vast network, enabling us to think, learn, remember, and adapt. This incredible structure served as the inspiration for artificial neural networks, which aim to mimic some of the brain's capabilities in a computational form. When we explore neural networks in this presentation, we're essentially trying to understand and replicate the remarkable processing power of our own brains. So, as we move forward, keep in mind how this biological marvel laid the foundation for much of what we'll discuss today. The basic building block of the brain is called a neuron. A neuron is a special biological cell, uniquely designed to handle communication within our brain and nervous system. Its main job is to receive information, process it, and then send signals to other neurons or parts of the body. These signals are quite tiny. They can be electrical sparks or chemical messages. When we think about how the brain functions, remember that neurons are the fundamental units making everything possible. They work together in complex networks, enabling us to think, feel, and move. Understanding neurons helps us appreciate how intricate and powerful our brain really is. Let's begin by drawing the soma, or the cell body, right in the center of our diagram. This is the core of the neuron, where the nucleus resides and where signals are processed. Next, we'll add the dendrites on the left side. These are branch-like structures that receive signals from other neurons, acting as the input channels. Moving to the right, we'll draw the axon, which is like a long tail extending from the soma. The axon transmits electrical impulses away from the cell body toward other neurons or target cells. Finally, at the end of the axon, we'll sketch the synapses, which are the gaps or junctions where communication between neurons occurs. These synapses are crucial because they allow the transfer of signals to the next neuron or effector cell. This diagram, named biological neuron structure, helps us visualize how the fundamental unit of the nervous system is organized. As we draw, keep in mind how each part plays a vital role in neural communication, connecting the structure to the overall function of the brain and nervous system. Let's start by looking at the dendrites, which are often called the receivers of the neuron. These structures are like the antennae of the cell, extending out and reaching for signals from other neurons. Their main job is to pick up electrical or chemical signals that are sent from neighboring neurons. Think of them as the ears of the neuron, listening carefully for messages. What makes dendrites especially fascinating is their vast surface area, which allows them to receive multiple signals at once. This is crucial because it enables the neuron to process complex information from various sources simultaneously. In the context of the overall neural communication system, dendrites are essential because they initiate the process. When they receive signals, they convert these into electrical impulses that travel toward the cell body. This is the first step in how neurons communicate and how our brains process information. So, in essence, dendrites are the gatekeepers, constantly listening, constantly gathering data, and setting the stage for the neuron's response. Understanding their role helps us appreciate how intricate and efficient our neural networks truly are. Now, let's move on to part 2, the soma, which is essentially the processor of the robot. Think of the soma as the brain that makes all the decisions. It's responsible for interpreting the signals from the sensors and executing commands. This component is what allows the robot to respond intelligently to its environment. It's really the core of its functionality, connecting all the different parts together. By understanding how the soma works, we get a clearer picture of how the robot processes information and acts accordingly. This ties back to our overall theme of how robotics mimic human-like decision-making. The soma is what enables the robot to be more than just a machine. It makes it somewhat autonomous. Now let's move on to part 3, which focuses on the axon, often called the transmitter. The axon is a crucial part of the neuron because it's responsible for carrying electrical signals away from the cell body toward other neurons, muscles, or glands. Think of it as the main communication highway of the neuron. What makes the axon particularly interesting is its ability to conduct these signals rapidly over long distances. This transmission is essential for everything from reflexes to complex thought processes. The axon is often insulated by a myelin sheath, which acts like a protective coating, helping signals travel even faster. At the end of the axon, we find the axon terminals, where the neuron communicates with its target cells by releasing neurotransmitters. This process is what allows the electrical signal to be converted into a chemical message, crossing the synaptic gap to pass on information. Overall, the axon is vital because it ensures that our nervous system can coordinate and respond efficiently to our environment. Without this transmitter, the entire communication network of our nervous system would break down, affecting how we think, feel, and act. So let's talk about the synapse. The synapse is that tiny gap at the end of the axon. Now, it's important to understand that neurons don't actually touch each other. There's this small space, this gap, which plays a crucial role in how signals are transmitted in the brain. The main function of the synapse is fascinating. It converts the electrical signal, or spark, into chemicals. These chemicals cross the gap and then trigger the next neuron to fire. This process is essential because it allows communication between neurons to happen smoothly. Another key point is that the strength of this synaptic gap matters a lot. It influences how effectively the brain can learn and adapt. Stronger connections mean better communication, which can lead to improved learning and memory. So, in summary, the synapse is really the connection point that makes all this neural communication possible. Understanding it helps us see how our brain processes information and adapts over time. Now let's walk through how this biological network works. First, dendrites are responsible for collecting inputs, which are essentially electrical signals from other neurons. These inputs are gathered and sent to the soma, or cell body. The soma then adds up all these incoming signals to get a total. Here's where the threshold rule comes into play. The soma checks if the combined input is big enough. If the sum exceeds this threshold, the neuron fires a spark down the axon, which we call an action potential. This is the neuron's way of sending a message forward. But if the total input is too small, below the threshold, the neuron remains silent and does nothing. It won't send any signals until it receives enough input to trigger that firing process. This entire process is fundamental to how the biological network functions. It's a simple yet powerful mechanism that allows neurons to communicate efficiently, process information, and ultimately drive complex behaviors and thoughts. Imagine you just touched a hot cup of tea. The first thing that happens is that sensors in your fingers, which are actually neurons, detect the increased heat. These neurons are specialized to sense temperature changes very quickly. Once they feel the heat, they send electrical signals through their dendrites, which act like tiny wires transmitting the information. The signals then reach the soma, or cell body, where they are summed up. If the heat is very high, these signals become stronger and more numerous. When the combined signal reaches a certain threshold, it triggers the next step. The axon, which is like a long wire extending from the neuron, fires a rapid electrical signal. This signal travels all the way to your arm muscles. As a result, your muscles respond instantly, pulling your hand away from the hot object to protect you from burns. This entire process highlights how our nervous system quickly detects danger and initiates a reflex action to keep us safe. Imagine you're in a crowded place, and suddenly you see a familiar face. The process begins with your eyes sending signals about what they're observing, like the shape of the face, the hairstyle, or the eye color. These visual details are the first clues your brain uses to recognize someone. Next, your brain processes all this information through millions of neurons. These neurons pass signals across synapses, tiny connections that help transmit the information rapidly and efficiently. It's like a vast network working behind the scenes to interpret what you're seeing. Then, when the pattern of signals matches a stored memory, say, your friend's face, the specific group of neurons responsible for that recognition fires. This firing is the brain's way of confirming, yes, I know this person. And finally, because of this recognition, you instantly shout out your friend's name. It's a quick, almost automatic response that shows how powerful our neural networks are in recognizing familiar faces and connecting them to our memories. This example perfectly illustrates how our brains process complex visual information and transform it into meaningful recognition, an essential part of our daily social interactions. Let's explore how biology and computer science are connected through this fascinating bridge. When we think about biology, we're looking at living systems, complex processes, and natural intelligence. On the other hand, computers are built on logic, algorithms, and data processing. Now, the key idea here is that many principles from biology have inspired technological advances in computing. For example, genetic algorithms mimic natural selection to solve problems more efficiently. Neural networks draw inspiration from the structure and function of the human brain, enabling machines to learn and recognize patterns. This bridge is pivotal because it shows how understanding biological systems can lead to innovative computing solutions, and vice versa. It's a perfect example of interdisciplinary collaboration, helping us unlock new potentials in both science and technology. Ultimately, this connection highlights how nature can serve as a blueprint for developing smarter, more adaptable computer systems, tying back to our overall theme of innovation through interdisciplinary insights. Let's talk about reinforcement and some common mistakes to watch out for. Reinforcement, as you know, is all about strengthening desired behaviors, but it has to be done correctly to be effective. When we reinforce, we're encouraging positive change, so choosing the right reinforcement is key. Now, one common mistake is over-reinforcing, which can lead to dependency or even diminish the behavior over time. Conversely, under-reinforcing might not provide enough motivation for the behavior to stick. It's a delicate balance. Another mistake is inconsistent reinforcement, where the timing or the way we reinforce isn't steady. This inconsistency can confuse the learner and slow down progress. Also, it's important to avoid reinforcing the wrong behaviors. Sometimes, we unintentionally reward behaviors that aren't aligned with our goals. Connecting this to the overall theme, effective reinforcement is crucial because it directly impacts behavior change and learning outcomes. Knowing these common pitfalls helps us become more intentional and successful in applying reinforcement strategies. Let's take a moment to recap today's lecture. We started by exploring the key concepts that underpin our main topic, emphasizing how understanding these fundamentals is crucial for grasping the broader picture. We then moved on to discuss the practical applications and real-world examples that illustrate these ideas in action. Throughout the presentation, I highlighted the importance of connecting theory to practice, showing how these concepts influence decision-making and strategy. The most important takeaway is that a solid understanding of these core principles not only enhances our knowledge, but also equips us to apply them effectively in various situations. Remember, the overall theme was about integrating knowledge and application to achieve better outcomes. Thanks for your attention, and I hope you found the insights helpful as you continue your learning journey. Let's take a moment to look at these practice questions. These are designed to help reinforce what we've discussed today and ensure you feel confident with the material. As you go through them, focus on applying the key concepts we've covered, and think about how they connect to the overall theme of effective communication and problem-solving. Remember, practicing these questions is a great way to identify any areas where you might need a bit more review. So take your time, think critically, and use these as an opportunity to solidify your understanding. Thanks for engaging with this content, and I encourage you to revisit these questions regularly to keep your skills sharp.